Hello, guys. Welcome back to the. Ooh, are we live? We are live. Are we live? Please tell me we are live. Good. Literally, 10 seconds ago, I wasn't sat here. 10 minutes ago, none of this was set up. So, firstly, a confession: I'm not prepared for this whatsoever at all. Normally, every week, I'm at least a little bit prepared in terms of having a topic to talk about, having some kind of inspiration about what to waffle on about before we go to the interesting bit, which is the Q&A. This week, nothing, I'm afraid, because, well, the reason is that thing which has completely dominated this week, and to be fair, the last 2 or 3 weeks behind the scenes. But I thought, actually, in that case, there's a story there. We can talk about Vision Pro, which I know is a little bit, it's breaking my own rules of not talking too much about tech on this channel, but who cares? It's Friday. Some housekeeping very quickly, guys. The Creator Academy is fully up and running now. We're really getting into the meat of that course, which I'm really enjoying making the videos for, and I hope everyone who's signed up and is watching those videos is enjoying them as well. We've got the first Q&A next week. But you can still sign up. So if you haven't signed up and you want to if you fancy following my footsteps and learning from me, click the link below and check out the Creator Academy. You can join whenever you want, and you can get access to all of the modules that have already happened and the Q&As as well. The second thing is I've taken the decision to move these live streams to Thursdays. The reason for that is that whenever we've done a live stream on a Thursday and not a Friday, we seem to get more people on. Even now, actually, the numbers looking good straight away. But it does seem that Thursdays seem to work quite well. If it doesn't work well at all, and it goes against everything I've just said, we'll go back to Fridays. I just get the impression Thursdays are a bit better for people, which kind of makes sense. Friday it's a nice Friday feeling, but equally, if you're in the UK at this time, you probably just want to get home and see your family rather than sitting there watching some guy in Warwickshire talk about YouTube. So Thursdays from next week, that is when we're going to do these. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to Fridays, whatever. So yeah, that's the housekeeping done. So because there is no, basically I've got no preamble. No, there's loads of things I could talk about. I could talk about the upcoming events and things that I'm going to. I could talk about the open AI, I don't know how you pronounce it, is it Sora, whatever it's called, the thing that I wrote about on the SUBSTACK newsletter this morning, the new open AI video generation tool, which does look nuts. It looks utterly insane. We could talk about that. I don't know. I thought, why, when this week has been dominated by something else, and I know it's tech related, and that's one of my rules on very loose rules on this channel. I know a lot of people have a lot of interest in this thing that's sitting over here, and there's definitely a content spin for this, because let me just very quickly tell you this, if you don't know about it, the story behind Vision Pro. So I'm based in the UK, and as you probably know, you can't buy Apple Vision Pro over here yet, and we have no idea, as always, when Apple's going to do that, when they're going to release it over here or anywhere else. There's rumours about it coming out potentially before WWDC, which would make sense because that means that developers can get a bigger audience to play with, rather than just having the US. And it would make sense basically. But equally, this is Apple. They do as they please. Other rumours are saying the end of this year, could even happen next year. Who knows? So, when it was announced that February would be the pre-order date for the US, I had quite a big decision to make, because I run an Apple-centric YouTube channel. Although we do cover other stuff, the majority of the views come from Apple gear. And when Apple says it's going to launch what it intends to be the next generation, the next era of computing via this very expensive device, it's hard not to think we just need to jump on that. I need that thing in my hands to talk about and tell the story of. So I made the decision fairly quickly that we would do that. And so began the process of getting Vision Pro from the United States to England. And that isn't an easy process, because it starts off easy. So if you live in anywhere outside of pretty much anywhere outside of the US now, you can go onto the Apple US store, and buy one. You can use your credit card from the UK, no problem at all. That isn't the tricky bit. The only thing you do need to do at that stage as well is either go and pick it up, so jump on a plane and go and get it, or have it delivered to a physical address, obviously in the US. So you need someone in that case who can do that for you and accept the package for you. I had someone in Arizona who could do that, which was very kind of them. It was a contact through another so a contact through a trusted contact who I trusted completely, but equally it's still a little bit scary because you've never met the person it's going, all that stuff. So anyway, so I had it delivered to Arizona, turned up there, and then we had to get it from Arizona to Leamington Spa, which is where I live. You've probably never heard of it if you don't live in the UK, but it's in Warwickshire. So if you imagine we have London here, is this the right way around? Warwickshire is up here somewhere, so it's north of London. Doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. Anyway, so to get it from Florida to there, not Florida, where'd that come from? Excuse me, I know where that came from. That came from my good friend, where is he? Kevin from Lakeland, Florida, who I'm always massively jealous of. Hi, Kevin. Hello, everyone. So to get it from Arizona to Leamington Spa, I had to basically get the person who received it to book a UPS 2-day service, which cost $99. So by this point, I'd spent about $3,000 in UK money on the thing itself, and $99, 80 quid, whatever, on the delivery. So you set all that up. 2-day delivery sounds fantastic. It's not 2-day delivery, obviously, because it has to leave the United States and go across the border and go through customs. And this is where things get really expensive. So I've paid £3,000. I've paid 80 quid-ish for the delivery. And now it gets stuck at the border because UK customs say, okay, you can have this once you've paid us duty, VAT, etc., etc., etc. All these red tape things that you have to pay and check off. The total for that was 560 something quid. Lot of money. So I paid that dutifully, very quickly, and it was released and sent to my house, and it arrived. On Wednesday this week. So I had then just very quickly on the cost. So if you add all that stuff together, including bank charges and various other bits and pieces, it's cost me about £3,600 in the UK, which I think is actually not too bad. When you bear in mind that I think, this isn't guaranteed, but I get the impression Apple will do what they always do and just convert dollars to pounds and charge us $3,499 over here as well. If they do that, I've roughly spent about 200 quid as a premium to get it early. That's all right. I'm happy with that. So I'm not, although it does sound like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. If you bought Vision Pro as a consumer from the US and had it shipped over and thought you might get away with a fairly small bill in terms of, shipping and import duty, you could be in for quite a surprise, because you don't find that out until it gets to the border or until it gets to leaving the US. So it's a lot of money, but this is a business expense, it's a business purchase, it's an investment in the channel, it's an investment in content. But anyway, it arrived on Wednesday, which meant I had yesterday to do the filming and the editing and all the other stuff that comes with video production, and part of today to do that as well. Although I'm not just working on Vision Pro, there's loads of other things going on, other videos, blog posts, solo club, stuff with sponsors, all the other stuff has to still carry on happening. But I only had a day really to get this done, and I've got my process down now to a point where I can do that quite comfortably. And this was a very different, you'll see this tomorrow, it goes live tomorrow on the channel. This was a very different video to normal because there wasn't any plan really. The only plan that I had was to unbox it, set it up, use it for the first time, and just tell that story and share it with the audience. And I know loads of people have done this already. There's loads of Vision Pro reviews and 2 week later things already on YouTube, but I couldn't do it any quicker than it's happened. And I think when you get this on your face, you do realise that there's a much bigger story here. It's not just about that first impressions. The first impressions is incredibly important, but what's really important is how this could fit into your life now. And even more important than that, it's what will Apple have to do to go from Vision Pro as it is now, and I will show you in a second, to this, which is a pair of glasses. There's a huge story there. I can tell you what the story isn't. The story is not walking around a shopping centre or sitting on a tube, or please don't drive with it. Again, when you start wearing this, you realise that it's not made for walking around in public. One, because you look like an idiot. Two, because it's borderline dangerous. Although you can see pretty well through it, it's not perfect, you can see pretty well through it, your peripheral vision is really obstructed. So unless you want to get run over by a bus, don't do it. So it's not for that. I understand why these creators have done that. I wouldn't have done it because I'm British and too self-conscious to do that kind of thing. But it's not made for that at all. It's made for sitting at a desk or on your couch and using like that. Slight rant over. Let's show you it. This is a bit of an exclusive preview because the Mark Ellis reviews video doesn't go out until tomorrow. So the first thing you get is this lovely booklet, which you can't see there. This reminds me a little bit of the unboxing of the Apple Watch Ultra, which comes with a very nice booklet as well. So they give you this, which has lots of very nice images of the device, showing you how to put your lenses in and stuff and all that business, and people wearing it, etc. All very nice. I think I mentioned in my blog post about this today, that wouldn't look out of place on a posh coffee table, along with like your design magazines and stuff. So that's very nice. The box is huge. This is the box it comes in. Vision Pro isn't as big as this, but it's this massive box, which, yeah, that's a story. There's not a story there at all. That's not really interesting. Okay, right, Vision Pro. Let's get it out of here. So conscious about potentially damaging this. It comes with this, which is like a light shield, not a light shield. It's a cover for it. I don't think you're ever intending. I don't think you're supposed to use it with it on, because you can immerse yourself anyway. So you don't need to block out the. Anyway, it's just a cover basically. But if we take the cover off. It's very fiddly actually. The reason it's fiddly is because this bit comes off. It magnetizes onto there. This is the bit that goes around your face, obviously. But it does come off, and it makes picking it up a little bit tricky. And there's something in the manual that says, pick it up like I am now. So hold it by the frame of the device. Don't pick it up like that. I've seen certain people do this. I saw the tech chap do this. He did a little reel. He just unboxed it and went to pick it up like that and very nearly dropped it, which you don't want to do with an expensive piece of kit like this. But yeah, that is Vision Pro. Let me put it on. It's not plugged in, so it won't come on, but you can see how stupid I look with it on. So there we go. I can't see you because, like I say, it's not on. You get two different bands. You get this, the Solo Knit band, I think it's called, which is the only one that you see in their marketing. You also get, can't see what I'm doing, this one, which sits above on your head like this and gives a bit more kind of, in theory, comfort. That's the biggest problem with this. It's not very comfortable. I'm getting used to it. That felt a bit more comfortable then, but the first time you put Vision Pro on your face, it's so heavy. It felt heavy then, but it's really heavy and quite uncomfortable. The problem I've had with it is that it rests very uncomfortably on my nose, which I think just means I need to play around with these two different straps and work out which one's best. I think this one is the best one. It's not as good looking, but I think it's the better one for people who are follically challenged like myself. But yeah, that's it. That is the hardware, and it is, as you would guess, being Apple, it's a lovely bit of kit. It's give you a view of it. We've all seen this. We've all seen lots of footage and Apple's own marketing for this. It's just it's a beautiful piece of kit. You do feel like you're getting a lot for your money, which is important given how much this thing is. I won't give away too much because I want you to watch the video tomorrow. But the two things to mention in terms of three things to mention in terms of the experience. One of them is the eye tracking. So this is the way that you navigate your way around the menu. A very iOS looking menu with the icons and stuff. You just use your eyes. So you just move your eyes around like that, and whatever you look at highlights. and the speed with which it does. In fact, there's no perceptible delay at all. It's just you look at something and it highlights, and then to choose it, you just go like that. And these cameras can see that you're doing that with your fingers, and that's how it registers and performs the action on the screen. It's unbelievable. It's one of those things that when you first do it, when you first experience it, it's mind blowing, and then within seconds, a bit like multi-touch on the iPhone and the mouse. When the mouse was first introduced, it just becomes second nature. It becomes such an obvious way to interact with this. That is what Apple does so well. That's the first thing. The second thing is the immersion. So this is when you can basically immerse yourself in a kind of make-believe, not make-believe land. There's the Joshua Tree. There's also, where else have they done? They've done Yosemite and a few other places. These proper locations, slightly digitized and given lots of depth and stuff with clever graphics and what have you. But you basically immerse yourself completely in these environments, as Apple calls them, and it does immerse you completely. So you can look around, behind you, above you, everywhere is this place that you're suddenly in. You've got a lake in front of you. It uses spatial audio, so you can hear the rain, you can hear birds flying above your head and stuff. It's unbelievable. When you first experience that, you'll see my reaction on the video tomorrow. It's unbelievable. The third thing is the way that it interacts with the Mac, which I've got in front of me at the moment. If you put this on, look at your Mac, you get a little thing at the top of the screen that says, or above the screen that says connect. You press that, or you do that, and it lifts the Mac display off the Mac. Your Mac goes blank, and the display becomes a window in Vision OS, which you can move around, you can resize, you can put it over there, you can combine it with another Vision OS app. That, I think, is the killer feature for me and for a lot of other people, that the ability to work in that. And obviously you can then work in those environments, be it, the moon. The moon is one. If you want to do your email on the moon, you can do that. The ability to do that is, I think, very interesting from a productivity perspective, and just immersing yourself in your work. But there's lots of challenges with this. There's a lot of challenges with this thing. Like I said, I'm not going to give away any more on this, apart from answering your questions about it. I will answer any questions you've got about it now. Bear in mind, I've only had this for just over 24 hours. No, well, I've only used it for just over 24 hours. So it's early days, but I do have lots of thoughts already. I have lots of thoughts in terms of what I'm going to explore next with it, but I am going to use it. I'm going to use it as much as I feel I can and feel that I want to. That's the key thing. This is the battery, by the way, which is comically heavy. This is a really heavy thing, but that attaches to this, and that's what powers it, basically. I didn't get the terrible looking Apple case, which is all like kind of creased and stuff. I bought a cheap Amazon thing at the moment until I get something else, but that's Vision Pro. It's video comes tomorrow, and if you're wondering, it does work in the UK. The only thing that you can't use in the UK is Apple TV. Apple TV Plus doesn't work. Everything else does. In terms of Apple Music, that works, as long as you've got a US Apple ID. And the way that you do that, if you're in another country, set up. I can't lay claim for this. My fellow tech creator, Torsif, I can never say his name properly, I'm terrible with names, sorry Torsif. He has made a brilliant video about this, where he discovered that if you create an Apple ID on Vision Pro itself, it automatically sets it to a US account. It's a much quicker process, and then you can log into the App Store, download all your free apps. If you've got a friendly US neighbor or friend or family member who doesn't mind you using their credit card, you can then buy them as well. And then you can sign out of that US ID, back in with your regular UK or Canadian, whatever ID, and all of those apps work. You get all of your iCloud stuff back. The apps that you downloaded via your US temporary account, they all work. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable in terms of a massive relief, because there was a lot of talk about much of this not working. And it does. It all works, apart from Apple TV Plus. So, let me stop rambling now. So any questions you've got, guys, about... the other thing, I do wear glasses, but I don't have terrible eyesight. My eyesight is actually pretty good, but I've got used to wearing these over the years just for using screens and stuff. And the one thing that you can't do at the moment is get a prescription for Vision Pro anywhere apart from the US. So if I wanted to get my prescription in here, I would have had to go to the US and had an eye test. That wasn't going to happen. That would have made the whole thing very questionable in terms of an investment. So I've risked it, and it's okay. I think when you can get your optician over here to provide Apple with the prescription, I probably will. There's a slight, anyone who's got not only slightly bad eyesight, when you take your glasses off, there's just something not quite right. It's there. So that's the one thing. It's not unusable. It's not going to damage my eyesight, but that is the one thing I probably will do once it is fully released in the UK. But yeah, any questions you've got about Vision Pro or the content I've made for it, like I say, a very different video. The filming for it was quite interesting. I used 3 cameras, had to do a lot of the recording of the of what you see, the screen recording of Vision Pro, the edit. I mean, I've noticed Ben from Lover of Tech is on here. I can't really talk about complicated edits when we've got Ben on here, because if you've watched, check out Ben, Lover of Tech on YouTube. The stuff he does with battery tests, I know testing and benchmarks aren't my thing. This guy is the other scale of this. He's the master at this stuff. So I have to be very careful if he's in the room, but I have to be very careful saying that I had quite a bad edit experience with this, because it's nothing like what he does. But it was a tricky one, mainly because of the file size. If you use Final Cut Pro, you'll know that Final Cut Pro is an absolute pig when it comes to dealing with big files, and your library balloons when you work with big files. And if you've got 3 different camera feeds and a screen recording and graphics and stuff, it very quickly chews through disk space, which was an issue for this one. And it's a slightly longer video as well. It's 17 minutes or something. So that was interesting. And just telling the story, you can imagine sitting here and waffling on about unboxing something and trying it for the first time, that there was so much waffle and stuff that I had to cut out. And that does take experience in terms of working out. They call it killing your darlings, which is a horrible phrase, but it's getting rid of the stuff that you thought was good or funny or whatever, but your audience doesn't care about. It's getting rid of that stuff and getting to the meat of what matters. I think I've done it with this. I think I have. I'd love to know your opinion once it goes live tomorrow. But that took a long time as well. A fairly long time anyway. Right, anyway, let's have a look. I get the impression I'm going to get a lot of questions about this thing. Let's have a look. See, Alan thought I was going to come on here wearing this. If I'd had more time, if this hadn't taken up so much of my time over the last 2 days, I would have done, but I didn't. Travis, wasn't expecting to see your eyes. I presume you mean my real eyes. That's one thing, actually. You'll see this in the video, and a lot of people have mentioned this, that the eyesight thing, and this is one of Vision Pro's supposed selling points, and a way that Apple has differentiated it from other VR headsets, which is that when you've got this on, if someone walks into the room, the thing clears and a version of your eyes appears on here. So it's your digital persona, which is a thing, you basically, it takes a scan of your face and stuff. It takes that and puts what is your eyes on here. So the person that you're talking to, they can see your eyes. Now, on all of the demos of this from Apple, and if you go onto their website, there's this example of it with very, very clear eyes, nice and bright. They look a bit weird, but they're there. It's nothing like that in real life. The actual, the retail version of this, it's very hard to see the eyes. Your eyes on this are very, very dark. I had to get the thumbnail for this done yesterday, and I had to get Jen to come here, my girlfriend, because the only way you can get these eyes to appear is with someone else in the room, so I can't do it on my own in here. So she came in, and I'm not joking, it took us forever to get the eyes to a point where you could just about see them for the thumbnail photo. We managed it, but then I had to do a little bit of tweaking in Lightroom to bring out them as much as possible. I didn't want to do it too much because I want to show it as it is, and it's nothing like Apple's product shots. I don't know if we can see, is it in here? I don't think, no, it's not, is it? No, they don't show it in here, but they do. There you go. So it looks nothing like that at all. That is, they have 100% touch that up because it's nowhere near as bright as that. The resolution of this front screen is laughably, like a Game Boy. That's interesting. But anyway, Aaron Patrick, yay Vision Pro chat. We'll just do this each week, shall we? Should we just talk about Vision Pro? It's a great thing for raising interest and engaging people. I think I think the videos may not do brilliantly in terms of views, but I get the impression, I might be proven wrong tomorrow, but I get the impression that the engagement, so the comments and the kind of chatter beneath the video about this should be quite interesting. It certainly has been for all the stuff I've tested with this. So I've tested it with a YouTube community post, which I put out a few days ago. That has had the most number of comments that I've had, I think, ever on a community post, apart from when my son was born, obviously. But yeah, a huge amount of interest, and various other bits of short form content have really set the comments on fire. That's what we want. Huge views are great when they happen, but it's that engagement you want from the audience. That's really important, and the algorithm loves that. So that's my hope with my Vision Pro content. David, why not chat about the Apple event on March 6th? Has that just been announced? I've probably missed this. Is there an Apple event on March the 6th? Let's have a look. I've missed this if there is. Apple event. Has it been? I won't Google because I know if I tap on I'm still using my mic on here, so apologies for that if I'm tapping away. Has there been a new? Is this happening? Is there an Apple event? I'll come to that. Come back to that. Yes, Lover of Tech is in. The Fish Finger Reaper's here. It's always a good day when the Fish Finger Reaper's here. How's the nose ache? Says Hostler. Like I say, it's achy. I think I just need to spend more time with it. It's only been 24 hours that I've been using it, to be fair. And in that time, I've used it for maximum, I don't know, probably an hour in one go. But after that hour, I was ready to take it off, really ready to take it off. And then when you take it off, everything's a bit weird. And I'm definitely not a VR veteran at all. I've used PlayStation VR. I've never used MetaQuest. I think someone asked that a moment ago. I don't have much experience of VR at all, but I know that is a facet of getting into this thing where you have to put up with a bit of discomfort occasionally. But it does. I get the impression that Vision Pro has more discomfort than others because there's so much stuff in here. It's got two great big air vents. And you can hear the fans, and it gets warm as well. There's a lot of stuff going on in this. Again, that's the story. How do they go from this to this? How on earth are they going to do that, if that's their plan? And how long will it take? Aaron, waiting patiently for the UK Vision Pro here. Do you think it would be worth still covering it on the UK launch? I did a video for filling a VAT return in VR, and it did work okay. A video for filling in a VAT return in VR. That is the kind of VAT return content I would watch, Aaron. Would it be worth it for Vision Pro? I think when this does come out in the UK, I think it will be worth covering, because what will happen, depending on when this is, we're at the peak of Vision Pro stuff at the minute. It probably already is tailing off a bit now, and it will keep tailing off until WWDC, when Apple launches, or talks about the next version of Vision OS, presumably, and when it gets launched in the UK. And when it gets launched in the UK, and I assume Canada, and maybe some other countries, that level of interest, the search volume on Google for it, etc., and on other platforms like YouTube will increase, so you want to jump on that. My plan with this is to really get going beforehand, so have a really good grasp of this, get to the stage where we're building lots of content both on the YouTube channel but also the website. So Max, who does a lot of the content on the markellisreviews.com website, he's been putting a lot of effort into SEO research and writing a lot of his own content for Vision Pro, guides and things, and we're just building a bank of content that's ready for when this gets a UK launch, but also for jumping on the back of the US stuff as well. So 100%, I want to see on your channel, Aaron, you doing a VAT return on the Vision Pro. I don't think anyone's done that yet, so it would definitely be a unique video, and I would definitely watch it. You get the VAT back as a business. You do if you're VAT registered, obviously, and it's I think it's tax deductible. Does that still work when you? I'm not an accountant, as you can tell. I think that still works when you get it from the US. I won't get involved in this. I'll just shut up. Rob, did you not fancy jumping on a plane and bringing it back? That was the other plan that I had, was to go to the States and get it and bring it back, and then make a video about going out there to get it. That would have cost a lot more, obviously, because of travel, accommodation, etc. And also, it would have tied in with CES and getting back from CES. I've got a young son. I want to spend as much time with him as possible, and my girlfriend, obviously. It would have involved going out again, and there's lots of other travel going on, and yeah, I didn't want to kind of do too much of that. So this was the most cost-effective way of getting it here, because I do have to view this as an investment, as I'm bringing something into the business. This needs to start paying for itself at some point, which it will. I have every confidence, but yeah, I needed to limit the amount of expenditure on this. Alan's mentioned here, you see that some people are returning them. Yeah, so there's lots of stories now about Vision Pro being returned by loads and loads of people. The most returned Apple product ever. I'm not surprised by that. I very much doubt Apple is surprised by it. You have to remember that Apple has this very generous, for them, 14-day return policy. I think in most countries, it's certainly in the US and in the UK, you can basically buy pretty much, I think, any Apple product, use it for 2 weeks, within reason. Don't throw it around or anything. But as long as you put it back in the box and send it back before those 14 days are up, no questions asked, you get your money back. I can guarantee that a lot of those orders for Vision Pro will have been done. People will have done it, that they'll have bought it on their credit card and thought, I want to experience it, but it will go back after 10 days or whatever. I guarantee that was the case with a lot of people. And yeah, who am I to say whether that's the right or wrong thing to do? They're not breaking the law doing that, but that might account for a lot of the returns. And it is a very testing experience. It's amazing, it's incredible, but it's the most first gen of anything, and it requires a lot of stamina, literally, to use this long term. And I'm not surprised people have had enough of it after a week or so. People like myself who have bought this as a business, it's different. Developers, obviously, it's a very important tool for them. And people who are genuinely just interested in how this is going to develop and want to be in there for the long run, that makes sense to spend that money. But for most other people, it doesn't. And that probably accounts for a lot of those, whatever it was, 200,000 orders that they've had. So I'm not surprised they're going back. And also, it's headline fodder. Those clicks will be drawn to those kind of headlines. That's why it's there. That's why people are talking about it. Why we keep hearing about it. Travis, I'm glad that it arrived in one piece. Imagine trying to deal with a dead on arrival. That was one big concern I had, because another thing you don't get over here, once you've bought this from the States and taken it into a different country, you lose all support. So if this breaks now, I've got a problem. It's a risk I'm taking. It's a calculated risk. But yeah, there was that in the back of my mind, thinking, what if I get this out of the box and it just doesn't turn on? And it's a dead one. It just doesn't work. Thank you. It didn't happen, but that was a worry. Tempted to make it live earlier rather than scheduled for tomorrow. Get in the wave quicker. No, not really. I've become less and less worried about when I publish videos these days. I think that certain videos, embargoed videos, for example, I'll always get out on time, because I want to demonstrate to the brand that I can get these videos out bang on embargo, because that's what they want. They want a great big wave of interest in one go. For something like this, where embargo's long gone and lots of reviews are out there already, there's no rush. It would make no difference if it went out today or in 24 hours time. So I get what you mean by that, but the wave is already dying off. So it doesn't matter, to be honest. I want to see how this first video performs, but equally I want it to go out in the best shape possible, and it would be a rush today to do that. Michael, get into the gym and get that weight resistance training on your nose. Yeah, is there any weight work I can do on here? Any free weights that you can balance on your? I don't know. It's so heavy. It's such a heavy thing. Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, spot on. It's the it's the worst thing about this. It's so heavy. Wow, there's a dating advice question. I have always said, actually, haven't I? Ask me anything, and someone has asked a question about dating. I'm probably not the best person to answer that. Do you have any dating advice? Do I have any dating advice? I was not expecting this today. This is taking a turn. Best dating advice, excuse me, I can offer is, and this is really cliched, just be yourself. These days, I can imagine how old are you? 24, I think you said. You're fairly young, 24. It's probably easy to go into this thinking you need to dress a certain way or act a certain way based on what's popular out there or perceived as being popular. Don't. Just be yourself. The right person will be attracted to you in that case. I can't believe I've got into dating. Don't take my dating advice. But that is true, and I've done quite a bit of dating myself in the past, and you should always be yourself, trust me. Wow, this is weird, isn't it? I told you I would answer any question within reason. Have I watched a movie on it yet, meaning Vision Pro? I've watched bits of stuff, yeah. So, unfortunately, the only way that you can watch movies at the moment on this, because I can't access Apple TV Plus, is Disney, which is quite a big library, obviously. But yeah, I've tried it out. I've tried Disney Plus stuff, and it looks amazing. It looks brilliant. So again, you can place yourself in those imaginary environments and have a great big screen, great big kind of IMAX almost sized screen, and put it anywhere you want. The audio's not bad. The audio through these speakers is pretty good, although you'd want to wear a decent pair of headphones really. Works very well with AirPods, obviously, as you would guess. But yeah, it's very, very good. And because you've got two 4K screens feeding stuff into your eyeballs, and then micro OLED as well, so very high quality, lovely blacks and all the rest of it. It's just gorgeous display. It looks amazing. So yeah, very good for consuming content as well. But there's no Netflix, there's no YouTube. I think you can access, I need to test this, but I think you can access them in Safari, but it's not quite the same. Vincent, some new names today. Welcome on board if you're new. If you're not new, apologies I've missed you before, but I like seeing new names as well. Vision Pro seems to me as a kind of smartphone for stupid people kind of thing. Immersion means distracting from reality. No, I don't think it's not a smart home for stupid people. It's not really for stupid people. It's but it is very. That immersion is very. It does cut you off from what's going on. So this morning I was sitting there working at the breakfast table, writing a blog post with this on my face, and my girlfriend came downstairs to make a cup of tea, and it was a bit weird. It was the first time I've turned around and looked at her in the morning and had this massive thing strapped to my face. So it was odd, an odd experience. We both kind of laughed it off, but there is that, it's not normal at all. And I think, again, that's why going back to all these people that keep doing these videos of walking around shopping centres and sitting on the tube and all, sitting there doing all this stuff, and it's not built for that. It's weird when you do that. It's built for being on your own somewhere, whether you're working, watching a movie, looking at spatial videos that you shot. That's very impressive, the spatial video stuff, and the photos and what have you, panoramas and things, reliving old moments. It's a solitary thing, and that's what it's designed to do. But so it's absolutely designed to distance you from reality. The key with that is how you use it, I think, and not being too lost in this. The eyesight thing, the eyes just doesn't make up for that at all. That's a failed attempt on Apple's part, I think. You've gone on to say it definitely can be applied in specific work environments when you need free hands and precision, maybe medicine or engineering. But for regular civil use, I'm not sure it's technology to go with. Yeah, I agree with the work applications for this. Must be really interesting. For my work, not so much. Apart from editing videos on this would be quite cool. You can do that obviously on your Mac screen, but the idea of having a native version of Final Cut Pro in this is very interesting. But yeah, for things like medicine and engineering, they've been using VR in those industries for years anyway. They don't need Vision Pro to accelerate that, I don't think. But yeah, for civil use, I think if you mean like home use and stuff, there's a huge market for that, I think. But it's we're a long way from this being affordable for most people and acceptable. I think that's the problem, and comfortable. That's the other thing. Michael says, where's it gone? Ben is the testing goat. He is. He really is. Honestly, I love telling this story. I don't know if I've told it before on here, but you won't mind me saying this. I have told it before, but I'm going to tell it again because it always makes me smile, and this is why I admire Ben so much. He does these very intense battery drain tests, and to do it, he'll have like 3 or 4 smartphones set up on the table, all with the right settings and everything. And one of the tests he does to drain them is to play, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but it's to play Spotify or music on YouTube or something. But it's basically playing a track. It's the same track on all 4 phones, but obviously there's a bit of a delay. So I don't know how he starts them, but he starts them all playing, and there's a bit of an echo. So if you imagine Justin Timberlake singing 4 times the same thing with a few milliseconds out each time, at pretty much full volume, I think, in a room, and you have to be there to monitor it and keep track of what's going. I said to Ben, when I saw Ben in person a little recently, we do a lot of these events together. That's where I met Ben, first of all. I said to him, that is literally a form of torture. I think people are genuinely put into rooms and made to listen to that sort of stuff. The SAS training, they do it there. And you're doing this to make videos to help people. And it does help people. People love those videos. And it genuinely helps them make a decision about which one to go for. So, Ben, I haven't got a hat on, but a hat off to you. Unbelievable. Let's have a look. Any other questions? Another one from Travis. Am I the only one bothered that all reviewers call it Vision Pro and not the Vision Pro? Have we forgotten about prepositions? And yes, there are bigger issues in the world I should spend my energy on. No, not at all. I get annoyed about this stuff, Travis. I think Apple makes this hard work. When you start writing about this stuff and making content about Apple products, one of the ones that really annoys me is AirPods. Or let's use AirPods Max as an example. I won't get into prepositions and all the technicalities of it because I don't fully understand that, but I know how to write, and when I'm writing something about AirPods Max, the correct term as far as Apple is concerned is to call them AirPods Max, not the AirPods Max. I think it's the same with Vision Pro. Don't quote me on that, but I know definitely as far as Apple is concerned and AirPods Max is concerned, it's not the AirPods Max, it's AirPods Max. And that causes havoc with certain sentences, and it definitely causes havoc with things like Grammarly. They cannot work out what you're trying to say. I always try and stick with brand guidelines with this. I want to quote the products as they should be quoted. But quite often, the way that Apple does it, it never reads properly. The other brilliant example of that is MacBook Pros. I think technically, again, don't quote me on this. This is one thing I will refuse to type. I think the technical term for plural MacBook Pros is MacBooks Pro. I think I used that for a bit, but every time I typed it, I wanted to pull my teeth out. It was just so irritating. So that's the one that I don't do. So I know what you're saying, Travis, but I'm not sure about Vision Pro. But anyway, yeah, I think way too much about that sort of stuff. There are bigger things in the world, obviously. The Apple event is in. Here we go, David. So what you're saying? So the Apple event is in March. Sorry. I thought you said 6th of March. I thought a date had been announced. There are 6 planned new and/or revised products to be shown. New Apple Pen. Now, David, do we know this for definite? Is this from the rumor mill? I always have to ask this because the rumor mill is very often wrong. Most of the time, it's wrong, or it's got its facts almost right, unless Apple has said publicly there are 6 planned new products, and it's those ones that you've listed. We don't know. It could be anything. It's fun to kind of look into this, but I have to be so careful what I quote with this stuff, because I've been picked up on relying on rumours too much in the past, and no one knows apart from Apple. But we think there's going to be something in March, don't we? And if it is a new Apple Pencil, Mac Mini with M3, new iPad, definitely new iPads, I think. New Apple Pencil, can't get excited about that. Mac Mini with M3, well, that's overdue. The new iPads is quite interesting. I think OLED iPad Pro is very interesting. Travis, how many of these 14-day returns can you do per year? I'm not getting involved in this. I have no idea. I don't want to step on Apple's toes with this. There is one creator I follow, and he clearly buys all new Apple products. Ooh, no, don't mention any names. I think I might know who you're referring to. Spews out quick content and returns them. Arguably a clever dollar idea. I've done it myself. I have had to do it. I think, what have I done it with? Was it a MacBook? No, it was the M3 iMac. The M3, the base model M3 iMac, I bought it. I was intending on keeping it, actually, to be fair, but it just didn't make sense to keep it. So I did the review and sent it back, and fine. But I wouldn't keep doing it. I don't know. I don't like the idea of continually doing it. It feels a bit wasteful for some reason. I know they get repurposed and stuff, but not keen on it. David, dating, you never get a second chance on a first impression. That's a much better way of putting it. Totally agree. And that first impression should just be you, because you're you. Because if you meet someone and you really like them, and you're not being yourself, and they really like that fake version of you, are you going to keep that up for the rest of your life if you get married? That's where things go wrong. Thank you so much. You made me laugh. I'm not a dating expert, trust me. I loved that question. That was brilliant. James, Apple will have spent hundreds of millions of developing the tech for the... Sorry, I'm destroying your comment here, James. Apple will have spent hundreds of millions developing the tech for the device. Should they have spent it elsewhere? That's probably conservative. I bet they've spent nearer billions on this thing if you put everything together. And it's. I think, again, when you get this in your hands and you start using it, it's clear that this was a very, very, very expensive thing to make, and that it will have taken them many, many years to get to this stage. Should they have spent it elsewhere? What on though? That's the problem, isn't it? I need convincing about this. I need convincing that the roadmap for this isn't too long, to the point where it will become irrelevant. But then I think about my son. He's 19 months old. In 20 years' time, when he approaches 20 years old, I can't believe he'll have an iPhone. I just don't think that's going to be the case. He's not going to have an iPhone 46, is he? He's going to have something else, whether it be glasses or I don't know. It could be anything, couldn't it? I don't know. I just don't see him having a phone. So I think with that in mind, it has to. We have to start somewhere. And Apple has put, like you say, a shed load of money into this. So I just don't know where else they would have spent it. It wouldn't have made sense to spend the money on Vision Pro on the iPhone, because what else can you do with a phone? Nothing really. Just keep iterating it. The Mac is going to eventually go, isn't it? All these things are. So no, I just don't know. I'm not Steve Jobs. I don't have that vision for, if you excuse the pun, for future tech. So I genuinely don't know what it would have been. But yeah, it's an interesting question though, isn't it? If anyone's got any ideas what they could have spent this on, then yeah, let's get involved. Solo Club YouTube Music, Kanye West. What? Oh. Sorry, you threw me there, Ben. You're referring to, because I love that album, even though it's Kanye West, but we'll forget that. So you're referring to your test, aren't you? So I think so. You used Kanye West's College Dropout to do these battery drain tests, and don't know how you do it. Persona 1600. Hello, very old mate of mine. We used to work together a long time ago in a very different world, which we won't talk about. It wasn't weird. Was it weird? Not weird for the reasons that I'm making it sound weird. It was another life, wasn't it? The Vision Pro, it feels like that didn't happen as well. I don't know if you feel this. Anyway, talking between ourselves now. The Vision Pro is obviously a good, well-implemented product, as usual from them. but it seems like something where the novelty of seeing an email on a virtual monitor will wear off after a week. I think that novelty does wear off very quickly, actually. Even the novelty of the eye tracking thing, that does dissipate quite quickly. Which is why I'm so interested in this. I want to see what else is going to hold your attention, and more importantly, the boring things. What is boring enough about this to make it, become a part of your life? Your iPhone is boring, but it's very, very important. How does this do that? That's what's interesting for me. So yeah, the novelty thing, and that's probably what's happened with a lot of the people who've returned it. They've had that initial wow moment, walking around the moon and moving things around and all that sort of stuff, and typing away on a completely make-believe keyboard. And then they've kind of woken up the next day and thought, I don't need to do that again. It was impressive. It's less impressive each time I do it. Back it goes to Apple. So yeah, I think that's probably what's happening. For the record, I game in VR, but all the bells and whistles like 360-degree YouTube videos wore off quickly. Well, you know more than me if you've done that, because I haven't, like I say, I've not spent much time in VR at all, basically. Where are we time-wise? I thought this would be a quick one today because I didn't have a plan and I was totally disorganised for it, and I wasn't even ready to go live 10 seconds before I went live. So I'm surprised we've got this far. Any other questions, guys? Dating questions? I'm here now. I'm a dating expert now. So if you want to ask me about your love life, just don't actually. I did come to your wedding. That feels like an age ago as well. We're all getting so old, aren't we? We are getting old, aren't we? I don't want to get depressing about this, but I'll tell you what I will mention. This is totally off topic, but I do want to mention him because he was I loved that guy, Steve Wright. If you're based in the UK, you'll know exactly who I'm referring to. If you're not based in the UK, you might know of him, you may not. Steve Wright was unfortunately a DJ in the UK on BBC Radio 2 for many, 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 many years. He had the afternoon show. He was a Top of the Pops presenter. He did all sorts of things. Very, very, very highly regarded as a DJ. And he passed away this week, and it was completely out of the blue. 69, very sudden. They haven't released what happened, but nothing suspicious. He unfortunately passed away very, very short notice. And it really got me this week because I spent many years in my past working life travelling around the UK in the car, and he'd soundtracked my journeys all the time. And to hear someone like that not be here anymore and go so quickly and unexpectedly was people are kind of recognising who he is now. It really hit me, and I listened to a lot of the people, a lot of the other DJs announce it. So Sarah Cox, for instance, bless her, she was tasked unexpectedly with announcing it on live on air. She got very upset. Jo Wiley, I heard her later on as well. It was really moving, and the reason I've mentioned it on here is because I just want to mention it because he was I thought he was an amazing DJ, very funny, very, very good at what he did, but also because I think I've talked about this before, that my career as a content creator has come from loads of different things, loads of different experiences and inspirations and all this stuff. And I think Steve Wright probably sits in there somewhere in terms of the way that he presented. I'm not Steve Wright anywhere near what he does, or did. But there'll be elements of his approach to creating his form of content which will have rubbed off. I know they've rubbed off on me. So it was a really big loss, that was, and fingers crossed. Well, all the best to his family, really. They won't be watching this, obviously, but really, really sad. Alan says, dating advice, needs a beer, and let's raise a glass to Steve Wright. Steve Wright in the afternoon. Also, Steve Wright in the afternoon had I will not take any other opinion on this because they're just not right. They're not correct. He had the best. I sound like one of my trolls now. He had the best theme tune of any radio show ever. Google it, you'll find it. It's a brilliant orchestral piece. Steve Wright in the afternoon. Just Google it, you'll find it very quickly. Sad news that, but anyway. Hello, what camera do you recommend for a beginner filmmaker? Do you think it's possible to get gigs with a budget camera? Yeah, totally. Depends what you mean by budget camera, and it depends what you mean by gigs. If you're talking about doing videography stuff, like I used to do this. I spent a fair amount of time doing videography as part of my previous business. Did lots of kind of talking head type stuff for businesses and promotional videos for products and things. that's where I kind of built my skills, which are still developing as a filmmaker, for want of a better phrase, and as a camera operator. And thinking back, I did work with budget gear, to be fair. So I was using back then I was using a Canon 5D Mark III, which wasn't cheap, to be fair, but it wasn't new. It wasn't the latest camera, and it had lots of drawbacks. You know, it wasn't 4K. It had a 20. It's got a ridiculous recording limit, 24 minutes or something, which was tied in with the EU regulations. Really irritating, but it would just shut off after that. You know, you couldn't do a long form recording, or if you did, you'd have to ask people to stop talking. It was terrible. But I did that, and I earned from it. You know, so yeah, 100%. Just pick stuff that is fits within your budget, obviously, but pick stuff that you can get to grips with quickly. Because if you're going to be using that gear for making money and, you know, impressing clients and all the rest of it, that gear cannot slow you down. I've done the other stuff the other way around this, where I've used gear that has been hard to work with, and you spend all your time faffing about and losing money and annoying people, basically. So you 100% can do that. Check out the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Was it the 4? Whatever the latest one is. I'm considering getting that because it's fantastic, and it's affordable, it's 4K, it's DJI, so it will be built like a tank. Yeah, have a look at that. But you can 100% do it on budget stuff. Don't overspend. It won't make your videography better if you spend a lot of money on a camera, put it that way. In fact, it gets harder to use, and there's more settings and stuff. So yeah, Fishfinger Reaper, you're saying, again, Steve Wright was a proper DJ, not a celebrity in front of the mic. Yeah, that's a really good way of describing him. He wasn't a celebrity, was he? He interviewed every celebrity ever, you know. But yeah, he was really relatable. I think that's why I liked him so much. He seemed just like a nice bloke. And you've heard, since he's passed, there's been lots of outpouring of grief and stuff, but also really nice stories from people who've worked with him. And it genuinely seems like he was like that off mic as well, just like a nice guy, nice bloke. Yeah. David, I cried when pirate radio was killed off back in the 60s. Tony Blackburn, Kenny Everett, Johnny Walker, some names there, crikey. Pirate radio, I missed that. I'm a kid of the 80s, so pirate radio wasn't really a thing then, but it's definitely not a thing now, is it? We're in a completely different time. Fishfinger Reaper says you could patch the EU time limit on the Canon. I think you could. I looked into it and gave up, I think, but yeah, there were ways around it. Right, only got a couple of minutes, guys. Any other questions? David says, we all start with basic stuff. My first computers were a Commodore VIC-20, a Sinclair Spectrum. Mine was a Sinclair ZX Spectrum. That was my first ever computer. And a BBC Master. We had BBC Masters at school. So technically, that was probably my first experience of a computer, one of the BBC machines. But yeah, interesting. That reminds me, very quickly, talking of the BBC, I'm on BBC Radio Scotland on Monday morning, I think at 11 o'clock or something, to talk about Vision Pro. Weird job I have, but basically they got in touch completely out of the blue. I'm not sure where they noticed that I had Vision Pro, but this does reveal why it's good to keep talking about things, because I think they found it on the website or something. But they got in touch and said, look, we're looking for someone to talk to about Vision Pro, someone who's got it in the UK. Are you up for a 5-10 minute chat on Monday morning? I said, yes, please. And it's being presented by, I'm being interviewed by Kay Adams, who is one of the loose women on the program called Loose Women, which is in the UK. So I'm basically telling people that I'm on Loose Women. I'm a guest on Loose. I'm not, but in my mind, I'm now a guest on Loose Women on Monday. So if you get a chance to tune in or listen again to the BBC thing, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and also I'm going to do it because it's a FaceTime call. I'm going to do it wearing this with my weird persona on there, just for a laugh. Why not? See how she reacts to that. Awesome, guys. I am going to have to sign off now because it's obviously Friday night. This is part of the reason I want to move these to Thursdays, because it's always it feels like a bit of a rush to finish on Fridays, because I do need to get back and spend time with the family. Thursdays is a little bit easier. So yeah, I'm going to sign off now, guys. But thanks. This has been a weird but wonderful live stream. We've talked about Vision Pro, dating, Steve Wright, rest in peace, and what else? Canon, Tony Blackburn. What was the thing we were just talking about as well? Commodores, Sinclair Spectrums, Loose Women, as in the program Loose Women. Yeah, I love this stuff. So guys, thank you for joining me. Have a fantastic weekend. And remember, it's Thursdays from now on. Same time, but yeah, I'll see you next week. And enjoy your weekend. I'm going to hit the end live stream now. I never know when it ends. So if I just stop talking halfway through this sentence, apologies, but hopefully not. Oh, I've got one more question. I will take this one because it looks interesting. I was going to ask if there is any update on the studio move, maybe next time. We can talk about that next time, but no, it completely fell through. I can't remember how much I've told you guys of this. I think we talked about it in detail. We did, actually. It fell through because the agent and the landlord just made a horrendous error by advertising the wrong price. That's all I'm going to say. Hasn't happened. Doesn't matter. Moving on. Staying here. I love this place. It doesn't matter. So with that in mind, cheers, guys. I'll catch you next Thursday. Cheers.